All right. excuse me, off the top. I got a frog in my throat here. Welcome, everybody. What's going on, Rusty? Peter's got a comment, and it's echoed down here from James about email notifications about this session have kind of stopped. I'm assuming that would have been from Guitar Tricks, maybe directly from Guitar Tricks notification. So I don't know what's going on with that. I wrote down that message though, those comments, and I will reach out to the powers that be and figure out what's happening with that. Okay. Yeah, not getting the emails. Used to get them. Andy as well. Okay. I am going to look into that. Look for an update next week. Okay. Hopefully. All right. And got to say hi to everybody else. All right. Craig in Melbourne. Good day. Yes, the weather was decent here today as well. Excellent. So Rusty, thanks as always. Thanks for hanging in. James, welcome. Erica, hello. Glenn B, what's up? HH, how you doing? Chris Cook, good day from Australia. Excellent, excellent. Elias, how you doing? Helena, what's up? And Andy, of course. Jim Gregory and Danny from Arkansas. All right. Zane, what's up? Doing good, doing good. Thomasville, what's going on? Thank you. Steve, what's going on from Alabama? Excellent. Good to see you. And Brian from Tennessee. All right. Home state right here. For those of you joining for the first time, expand the description below the video and you will have a link to the tabs for what we're going to go through tonight. We're going to do an acoustic workout. But that said, with all of these Friday night sessions, just because it's on acoustic does not mean it is not applicable to the electric. So please, these are, guitar is a universal thing. We can apply all these techniques, all these approaches to acoustic or electric. These are just sort of typical acoustic guitar type of exercises, musical examples, that kind of thing. That's sort of the idea behind this. Okay. And just trying to get some practice in. Hopefully use this as a springboard for you to, get excited about something or inspired about something to work on in the coming weeks. Add it to your practice routine, or maybe it's something you haven't seen before. That kind of thing. Okay. That's what we're going for. So yes, expand the description, get the tabs. Who else we got here? Ray, what's up? Thank you. Thank you. There you go. Good session. I got that. Okay. So starting off a little bit with the exercise 1, and I like to kind of warm up with just some strums and then some arpeggiations of some chords, just to start up a little bit. And this is great practice going back and forth between doing a strum groove and then switching into picking up and down the notes. Okay. So we're starting off with an open E chord. So that's the second fret of the A and D, first fret of the G, and everything else is open. What's up, Arthur? I'm glad you're here. All right. Excellent. Good to see you. And let's look at our strumming pattern tonight. King 50. All right. Northern Nevada's here. Excellent. Excellent. Strum pattern goes like this: down, down, up, down. Okay. Super common. Really kind of a catch-all strum pattern. When in doubt, that one seems to work a lot of the time. Okay. Okay. So, looking at the rhythm up top, we've got some quarter notes. Those are the flags with no, sort of the note stems with no flags. We've got some eighth notes. Those are the ones with the flags, right? So we're thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and on the first beat, we're just going to do the downstroke because that's the quarter note. 1 and. Our motion's going to come back up and not strike the strings. And then on the second one, down, up. And then I'm going to do a downstroke, not striking the strings. Come back with an upstroke and a downstroke and not have the upstroke hit the strings. So down, down, up, down. Okay, we talk a lot here about trying to keep this rhythm going, this motion going with your strumming arm, because it helps you keep time, right? Okay. We got Jason in Perth. What's up? Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad you made it. Theodore, what's up? Doug from Denver. Excellent. Welcome, welcome. So E chord, first strum, down, down, up, down. Second bar, very simple arpeggiation from the D string all the way up and then back again. And so those are all eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then letting that last one ring out as a quarter note, right? So you put those two together, you get. Okay? So even if you just want to get the feel for this and don't even introduce the chord progression yet, just stay on the E chord and loop that, right? So if you're still trying to get this under your fingers. You get my idea there, okay? Just loop it like that, get comfortable with it, make it feel like it can kind of go a little bit on autopilot. Then you can turn your attention to changing chords, okay? Igor, what's up? Mexico City, Igor, welcome, welcome. Okay. Sorry to ask this so early, but Elias has a question. Sorry to ask this so early. Sorry to ask this so early. Sometimes my Canadian accent comes screaming out, so I apologize. Is there any way to demonstrate the strumming using fingers? I can't get a clean sound with the finger strumming, like the hands are breaking the strings. I think you might have to just go as light as possible, right? And even, you know, what I make sort of one maybe thing to try is, you know, putting your thumb and finger together as if you have a pick and just using the sides of those. Okay. There's sort of no getting around it. The upstroke is always going to be a little bit darker because you're kind of using just the skin, right? Whereas on the downstroke, you can kind of use the nails. Right, so. Okay. You know, even maybe use that or just sort of the side of the fingers like this, kind of. Okay. It's definitely a different sound, right? If you've got a pick, it's going to be brighter and with a lot more attack. And if you use your fingers, it's just going to be a little rounder, okay? And a little softer. That's just sort of the way it is, right? So I would just try to get as much nails in there as you can, whether it be like this sort of thing, or just even that, just these two fingers. There's a way to kind of, you can get sort of the thumbnail on the upstroke, right? Okay, yeah, Doug, so what we're talking about is not necessarily ghost strums. Well, I guess sort of ghost strums can kind of be thought of as hitting the strings maybe, so maybe not quite ghost strums, but the strum motion not hitting the strings. That's really what it is. And just determining which ones are going to hit the strings and which part of it is not going to, and just adjusting for that, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Down, down, up, down. Okay? Art, what's going on in Thailand? Welcome, welcome. And Jabez, hello, hello, welcome. Okay? Hopefully that helps, Elias. You can brighten it up by trying to get the fingernails on it, but it's just the nature of the beast. It's kind of going to just sound a little warmer and rounder when you're using the fingers. Okay? Cool, cool. Excellent. All right. So back to this 2-bar loop of the first bar strums, second arpeggiations. We're going. Okay. Next chord is going to be an open G chord. That's in the 3rd bar of this first example. Okay, so I got the 3rd fret of the low string, 2nd fret of the A, open D, open G, open B string, 3rd fret of the high string. Same strums, right? So And now same strings arpeggiating. Okay. Next one is the open D chord. Okay, same strums. And then the arpeggiation, same strings. And then I ended it off with 2 bars of strumming on a little bit of a curveball, the A sus2 chord. So the A sus2 is like an A major without a finger on the B string. So you've got an open B string. So your A chord, which usually has the A, C sharp is the 3rd, and E is the 5th. You're taking away the C sharp and replacing it with the B, okay? And that's what's called a suspended chord or a sus chord. When you replace the 3rd with either the 2nd or the 4th. In this case, we've replaced it with the 2nd. That's the B, right? Because if you take the A scale, 1, 2, the 2nd note in the A major scale is B. So that's what we're adding to the chord, or replacing that 3rd with the 2nd. And we get a sus2 chord, and this is really nice floaty chord. So I've just got the 2nd fret of the D and G that I'm got my fingers on. The rest of it, open A and then the top 2 strings. But I don't want that low string to ring out, so you see I got my thumb over there to make sure that that doesn't ring out. Okay, so that's okay. All right, this time we've got the same strum in the first bar. Okay. And then at the top of the next bar, it's right in with. So it's a little bit tricky to put together. Let's see if we can do it. Okay. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, down, down. That's how we're sort of ending off. So when you put this whole thing together, it's going to sound like this. That's our warm-up exercise. I know it might be a little adventurous, but you know, even if you just take 1 or 2 bars of this and just work on it a little bit, you know, if you don't feel up to the challenge of putting the whole thing together, that's totally fine. Okay, every little bit helps, and you can always reduce down these examples into smaller chunks, little bite-sized, little practice exercises, or something of that nature, and it's all going to be helpful, hopefully, right? Cool, cool. All right, Doug, the C sus9 used for the C major is another example. Yes. So for example, C major chord right here. We play it like this. Okay, C, G, that's the 5th, C, octave root, and then there's the E, which is the major 3rd. Now, if I change that note to the 2nd, which in relation to the C would be the D, so then I've got the 2nd fret of the B string. That makes it a sus2, okay? So it would actually be C sus2. All right, we don't call that a 9 because there's no 3rd in the chord, okay? Usually when we start getting into the higher numbers, it's telling you we've got a 3rd and a 7th in the chord, okay? In this case, it's not. It's just a simple C major chord with, you know, usually the 3 notes, but you've replaced one of them with the 2nd, okay? You've replaced the 3rd with the 2nd, so that's what makes it a sus chord. Does that make sense? Jim, crazy how a small change in strumming pattern makes all the difference. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Just feeling it, you know, just expressing it and feeling it in a different way, and it can hit you, you know, kind of getting an emotional response or whatever. Okay. HH has a question. How long should you work on a song before moving on to another? I never you're never able to perfect one before getting bored. That is a common thing, okay? I always say if you're starting to burn out on a song, move on to the next one. But always try to come back, okay? Because the more you work on songs, you're just upping your skills generally, right? So the more songs you learn, the more songs you're trying to learn, the more songs you're trying to play, you're just going to get better and better and better. So eventually you can go back to that song from 6 weeks ago that was frustrating you and see if you made some headway. Go back to it, spend a little bit of time and go, hey, wow, this feels like I can kind of maybe get this a little bit better. And it's that kind of process, okay? You know, move forward when you start to get frustrated, when you start to get burned out on something, and just switch it up, okay? Because there's no, as we know, there's no shortage of material to work on for guitar, you know, all over the internet, notwithstanding even just on Guitar Tricks, okay? So hopefully that helps. Absolutely, just move on. But I always encourage students to come back. Come back after a while and check it out. All right. Great start to it. Thanks so much for the questions, everybody. Love it. Exercise 2. You might sort of recognize the sound of this thing. It actually brings to mind a couple different songs. We'll see if anyone thinks of them, but let me play through it first. We'll talk about it a little bit. So this is sort of just a syncopated, we've got some held out chords, we got some cluster of chords. And another thing is that we're using triads with pedaling bass note, which is just basically the same note in the root, okay, which is the open D, okay? We're starting with the D chord. Let me just play it and we'll talk about it, okay? Okay, that's what it is. All right, so let's try to dig in a little bit deeper. And the first thing, let's just talk about the chords. So what I love about this example is that we're moving triads, major triads, around all over the fretboard and tethering it to that open D string. Okay, very common thing, also on electric, but on acoustic, it's a really fun thing to do. Okay, I think everybody threw out yes. I actually wasn't thinking of yes, but that's a good one. Jody 1, what's up? Steve, what's up? Supertramp was one of the ones I was thinking of. Yes, Doug, good one. Actually, another one from the early 90s, if anyone can think of, perhaps think of it. But yeah, maybe yes too. Huh. I wonder what song that would have been. I wasn't thinking of that, but could very well be. So we got this open D. We're just starting an open D chord, but now just moving that shape up. Yeah, give it a little bit. That was the one, Supertramp. That's one of the ones I was thinking of. This isn't the actual part. Sort of similar, but it's not the actual part, okay? But let's move that D shape up. And what you find is just as a general exercise, you can move this triad with the open D string, and there's lots of places where it sounds cool, right? Like, okay? I'm just using one shape, just moving it up and down, and okay? Some of them don't sound so good. Okay, like that, right? The in-between ones, right? Like that's kind of in the middle, right? But there's ones that sound really good, right? Right? Okay? That kind of thing. So that's the first thing. So what we've done is come up to the 9th position with that. Anyone know what that chord is? Well, it says on the tab, so I might as well just talk about it. So that's an A major triad up here, okay? This is the triad shape on the top 3 strings where the root is on the middle string, or the B string. Okay, so we got an A note right there. We come down, that's a G note. And then we're going to change some triad shapes. So then you're going to see 6th fret of the G, 5th fret of the top 2 strings, which are the top 3 notes of A major bar chord, right? And it turns out that that's an actual A major triad right there, right? And that shape on those 3 strings, on that particular string set, which is the top 3 strings, the root's on the top. Okay, that's the A up top. That's the highest note. Okay, and then I'm going to this. So I've got the 7th fret of the D and G, 5th fret of the high string. We're on exercise 2, Rusty. Exercise 2. Yeah, absolutely, Doug. We've got to resolve back to the chord we started on, really, right? So really what we're doing is we're kind of going through 1, 4, 5, and then back to 1. We've got that the root of the 1 chord kind of flowing throughout the whole thing, which is kind of cool. Ties it all together, right? So this triad shape's another major triad shape. This time the root is the lowest note. Okay, so it's an example where we've got on the top 3 strings, we've got 3 major triad shapes. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so those are the 3 major triad shapes on the top 3 strings that allow you to play chords kind of all over the neck, right? There's a D chord, here's an A, G, there's another A, there's another D. Okay? There you go. So we got just a little bit of syncopation, a little bit of chords ringing out, right? And that's that example right there. So this is one of the ones where, you know, if you're looking at the rhythm, it could be really sort of difficult to parse out what's happening. So what really we need to do is, you know, kind of like listen to how it sounds a lot. Okay. Okay. There you go. So Jason hit my my other song that I was thinking of. Yeah, absolutely. That's from that Extreme song as well. And just moving triads around. It's really funny how close he comes to you know, that Supertramp song from, you know, like what is it, 15 years before or something like that. So there you go. Just sort of put it in a blender and spitting it out the same way. Okay. All right, so there you go. Exercise 2. Okay. Now we've got exercise 3. And this one is sort of based off a bread song that we have on Guitar Tricks. Taught this once. And we've got some cool major 7th chords. Once again, using an open string to tether the chords together. And this one's just got a cool strum pattern. Again, it's a different sort of strum pattern. That's pretty cool. So the first one is A major 7 in that first bar, exercise 3. Rudy, I am wondering about the missing dot on the 3rd fret of your guitar. You know, it's really interesting. I don't know if this is a Martin thing on all the guitars or just this model, but yeah. I don't know whether or not that was a mistake or not, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. I still got the dot on the side of the fretboard. I'm not sure if it's a feature of this particular model or could be a mistake, I guess. I don't know. It'd be weird if it was a mistake, right? You'd think someone would have noticed that. Ray's got a Yamaha's got the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably just a feature of this model. I'm not sure that I don't think all Martins have that, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. I never noticed it before, really. Or it might be a Martin thing on all of it. It could be, Glenn. I'm not sure. All right. So James has one with the missing dot. There you go. Okay. In terms of learning songs, for the most part, it is normal to always need to read music to play the song. What should I be doing differently? Yeah, well, you know, do your best to do that. Okay. But also what really would, if you can, get a recording of the song, okay, that you're trying to learn. And a good place to go if the song is not on Guitar Tricks, for example, if it's on YouTube, you can use the speed control. slow it down a little bit if you have to, listen to the song a lot, and then just really try to cop the rhythm. Like just, figure out the notes from the tab, but then try to play with the song. Okay. And if you have to loop the section or whatever you need to do in order to kind of isolate, whether it's just that one little part, slow it down if you need to, but kind of do it over and over. But you need to be checking how you're playing, where your strums are in relation to the recording. Okay. In the case of Guitar Tricks, if it's a song on Guitar Tricks, I always say just go to the performance video with the instructor and play with the instructor and really try to match what he's doing. Okay. So you have the benefit of having the video to be able to see where I'm strumming as well. You might not have that if you're just listening to the recording, but if that's all you got, that's all you got. And just really try to listen and try to get the phrasing and where the strums are happening and match them up. Okay. That's the idea. Does that make sense, HH? That's right. The 7th fret has 2 dots, Rusty. There you go. Yeah, I guess, I don't know if that's, yeah, I think that's normal, isn't it? I don't know. The Epiphone has it too. Man, you throw me down the rabbit hole of the dots on the fretboard. I don't know. Okay, so we've got A major 7. Okay, so I've got the 6th fret of the D and G, 5th fret of the B, 4th fret of the high string. Okay, and we're adding in the root. So the root of this chord is going to be the open A. HH says, I just rely on my music sheets way too much, like a crutch. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a crutch. I think what happens is a lot of people that rely on sheet music, I'm not saying this is you at all, this is just a general observation, okay, is that you can see where to put your fingers and where to strum and do all that. But a lot of times there's a disconnect to what the rhythm is or how it's supposed to sound versus how you just kind of like reading the part off a page, right? And so we have to be very mindful of that, very careful. And so that's why I always say, refer to the recording of what you're trying to learn, try to find a video of it, try to match what you're doing, play along with it, okay? Don't just look at the sheet music and do it yourself. Check yourself and make sure that it's sounding, the strums are in the right place, the chord changes are in the right place, all that stuff. And you can only really do that if you're really studying the sound of the recording, right? All right, hopefully that helps. Back to the A major 7. Cool. All right. So let's look at this strum pattern again. So now we're getting into 16th note strum patterns. So this is a little bit faster. Okay. And then moving that down 2 frets, same shape, moving it down 2 frets, same strums. Okay, let's slow down that strum pattern a little bit. And Doug, I'll get to your question in a sec. Okay. Okay. Cool. We're getting lots of questions. That's awesome. Okay. So the strum pattern is that. And we're just working through some different chords. So I'm going to go this A major 7, coming down 2 frets. It would be a G major 7, still with an A in the bass, coming back to A major 7, same strum pattern. And then the next chord is kind of a nice little curveball. So you're doing the upper part of a G bar chord, starting on the D string, 5th fret, 4th fret of the G, 3rd fret of the top string. Okay. And then we're going to interrupt that strum there. And do a final strum on the open D chord. Okay, so that last bar. So let's put it together, okay? Here we go. nice little example there. Just some great strums, great chords, right? Getting into those major sevenths. Okay. And, we've got a lot of different strum patterns in this set of tabs already. So, try them out on different chord progressions, different songs. See how much mileage you can get out of these. Okay. Doug, I've been struggling due to too much to practice. Anyone else do this? I think I will make your weekly lessons a bigger part of your practice. Great. That's awesome. There is too much to practice. Try to focus, short answer is check out, I did this when we switched to YouTube. I hope we did. If we haven't, I might have to do it again, but search the channel, How to Practice, Guitar Tricks channel. For sure, I did some different, it wasn't a streaming thing, but I think I did a series on how to practice and just gave you some ideas on how to sort of organize yourself. Okay, if there's too much to practice, try to organize it into chunks. And I always try to think of, try to balance out learning songs, working on that. That's one chunk. Working on scales and leads. Okay, single note, basically stuff. That's another one to try and balance. And then chords. And I apologize. Someone's trying to get a hold of me. And trying to do, sorry. And then strums and chords and all that. Rhythm guitar basically is another strum. Okay. Chords, single note, rhythm guitar. Try to balance all three of those. Okay. And then try and check out just the last thing I'll say about that is that when you're learning songs, the things that you're trying to work through in the songs to try to get better at, to try and actually do, those are what's going to inform, the single note part and the rhythm guitar part. Just try to stick them in there and give yourself 5 minutes per kind of topic, right? And try to do that. All right. And check out the videos here on the channel about how to practice. Okay. And hopefully they're up here. I'm pretty sure I did some during the pandemic, although we're still in the pandemic. During lockdown is what I meant to say. All right. Hopefully that helps. Rommel, way to use these triads creatively. Good question. I think I kind of did, I showed an example of just experimenting, right? Like thinking about the open D, right? Okay. D major. And thinking, okay, if that's the one chord, then what are my 4 and 5 chords? Well, the 4 and 5 chord in the key of D are G and A. So G would be up here, A would be up here. So now I can work on, playing a 1-4-5 chord progression of some sort using those triads, okay? Now what you have available to you is you've got 3 different shapes of those triads, 3 different inversions, right? So figure out how to play that chord progression in all sorts of spots up and down the fretboard. And just doing that, opens up the creativity on how to use these things. And then beyond that, learn the minor shapes and then figure out what minor shapes are in the key. Try some different chord progressions and see if you can go up and down the neck and play the same chord progression back and forth. Okay, hopefully that helps. Yes. I see the question. Okay, Steve, if you want to learn music as it was recorded, there's no better place than Guitar Tricks. I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Steve. We work really hard to try and get that as close as we can. Okay. Scott, for a style like these, strums and chords, do you have to pick thickness? I prefer. My personal this is a 0.71, so it's kind of thin. I like a thinner pick on the acoustic. I just feel like it sounds nicer. On the electric, I'll use a thicker one just because, typically I like to be able to get more aggressive on the electric, sorry. But the acoustic, I find a thinner one is nice. Okay. So hopefully that helps. There we go, Doug. Excellent. These lives, Mabio, do these live streams get saved? Yes, they're on the channel. Subscribe to the Guitar Tricks channel. And after these streams are finished, they're up there. Okay, you can find them on the channel on YouTube. Okay. All right. Great questions. Thank you so much, everybody, for being so engaging on this. Okay, cool. Exercise 4. Got like kind of, I'm going to play it first and we'll talk about it. Adding a little bit of a cool technique in here with harmonics. So let's see if I can do this. So. Pretty cool sound, right? So I'm using just the top 2 notes of what would be an E major bar chord way up, okay? Can't even really get it on most acoustics, right? But just using the 14th fret of the D, 13th fret of the G, and then the top 2 strings open. So right there, that's got a cool little sound. So I'm strumming that a couple times, strumming the whole chord, and then doing a pickup strum just on sort of the lower strings. Rusty, I appreciate that so much. Thanks for checking. I wanted to make sure I did something like that on there. So that's great. Thank you, Rusty, for checking. Yes, it is how to practice. It's up here. Okay. So I'm hitting the lower part of the chord. Yeah, it kind of sounds like that, right? Hitting those lower notes and then grabbing some harmonics. So I'm holding the chord and then using my index finger to get harmonics. Now, what are these harmonics? If you don't know, there are what are known as naturally occurring harmonics. At the 12th, 7th, and 5th fret is where they're the most alive, especially on the acoustic, okay? And in order to make that bell-like sort of harmonic sound, you have to put your finger just touching the string right above where the fret is. Okay? You're getting some nice overtones there. So it turns out the harmonics at the 12th fret. Right on, Steven. Welcome back, Steve. Excellent, from Edmonton. Cool. The 12th fret is going to be the same note, but it has like sort of that different timbre to it, right? Has more of that pingy sound, right? Then you're going to bring that same shape down to what would be a B chord. It's the exact same shape on the exact same strings, exact same strum. Now you've got the higher harmonic of what's happening on the 7th fret, right? Okay, so in order to get that to ring out, you want to have the finger just touching the string, pick it, and of course you're over top the fret, pick it and release it right away. And that's how you get it to ring out. If you don't release your finger, it kind of chokes it out. So you have to release your finger right away. Okay? Same thing down in the 5th position. Okay, so that's actually going to be the notes from the open string up 2 octaves, which is really cool. That's at the 5th fret. Those are those higher harmonics you get. Okay? So cool little exercise here. Just, like coming up with a riff like that, incorporating some strums with the harmonics while letting the chord notes ring out. Cool. What's up, Eli? Welcome from France. Excellent. Right on, Mario. Welcome back. Excellent. Thanks for joining. And thanks for coming back to Guitar Tricks. Excellent. All right, exercise 5. We've got some strums here. We're going to go into a swing strum groove in a 6/8 time signature. And this is a John Mayer kind of thing. The chord that I'm going to start with is, let's see how I should do this. Yeah, I'm going to use my middle finger on the 7th fret of the low string, curling it to mute the A string, and then grabbing the 7th fret of the D and G. And then the open B and high E string. Okay. let's see. So 1, 2. That's what we're going for. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now our upstrokes are going to be swung. So this is a little bit challenging. So instead of just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, we're going to push those upstrokes a little bit later. So it's going to have a bounce and a swagger to it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So now again, this is one of those strums where I'm not strumming every time. I'm trying to keep this going. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up. Okay, that's what it's going to be. Up, down, down, up. Okay. Next chord is an E minor 7. I've got the 7th fret of the A, 5th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G string. Okay. So that's got the low E string in it this time, the open top strings. And then just going to this variation of an A7 chord. It's basically like sort of this G power chord shape, 5th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G, with the open A and the top 2 strings open. Yeah, swing feel. That's the key to this, okay? Let me get back to it in a second. The last chord is going to be 5th fret of the A, 4th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G, and you've got to curl it so that you've got the open B and high E string. Okay, and it's kind of another floaty chord. You've got those open strings up top that make it floaty. So let's hear what it sounds like all together. So again, it's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Cool one, right? All right, Douglas, what's up? What's up? Excellent, excellent. Exercise 6. Okay. So here we've got our obligatory blues. And so we've still got this swing going on. Okay. And this is sort of the Chicago blues approach on the acoustic. A little bit straightforward, but I thought, why not? This is a fun one to kind of bang out on the acoustic. So it kind of sounds like this. Once again. All right. Thanks, Doug. Right on. Playing off a low E power chord, that, really straight ahead blues boogie. So I'm going to be adding this. I've got the 2nd fret of the A string. It's the 5th of the chord, but then you go up to the 6th of the chord, which is the 4th fret, and then the flat 7, which is the 5th fret, and just kind of going up and down. Alternating back, when you go up to those high notes, you're alternating back to the 2nd fret. Now, once again, I'm using all downstrokes, but those 8th notes are swung, okay? So if I was to play this straight, it would sound like... which is fine in itself. There's plenty of rock stuff that sounds like that with the straight sort of groove. But when you add that bounce, it totally changes the feel, right? So if my second down, every second downstroke's a little bit spaced out, a little bit further to the next strum after that, you know, instead of it's so what do we got to look out for here? If you notice, there's a tie across the bar line going from the first bar to the second bar, okay? Okay, so I'm not going to strum the first beat of that second bar. 1 and 2, okay? 1. So it's a little bit tricky. You want to go nice and slow with that at first. 1. Sounds pretty good slow too, right? And those last two are just going to the open A chord, open A power chord, second fret of the D and G, open A string, and then the third fret of the low string with a little bit of a bluesy bend, right? You with me? Cool, cool. Excellent, excellent. All right, hanging in. A couple exercises left. We've got exercise 7. And for those of you joining late, expand the description below this video. We've got a link to some tabs, okay? And that's what we're going through in this session is just a list of exercises, little musical examples, just hopefully showing some cool stuff, right? All right, let me play this one. Cool, Danny. Let's see if I can play this one first, and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right, so kind of a pop rock, kind of bright sounding up tempo or mid tempo kind of thing. Incorporating some just some cool techniques that yeah, Zeppelin, right? That kind of thing, right? Is sort of what I was alluding to. And just adding some ornamentation, adding a little bit of a riff, a little bit of a melody line that you know, kind of really ups the whole thing. And so this one uses a hammer-on pull-off technique. So we're starting on the open G string, okay, and hammering on to the second fret of the G and then just pulling it off back to the open. So if you're not comfortable, or if you haven't really explored this technique before, you're going to have to just work on that. Try and work on getting, you know, like you're kind of aiming for just slamming the fingertip onto that note. And then I just pull it off the string, but you kind of want to like sort of pull off the string, you know, it's self-explanatory. Pull off the string so that the open string rings out, right? So you just want to work on that and get comfortable. And you work on it on all fingers, you know, all the fingers all over the neck, and just work on that technique a little bit. And so what we've got is coming down to the fourth and then the second fret of the D string. That leads us nicely, like basically coming down the D major scale. I mean, you could think of it. Right? But sounds a little more interesting. Okay, that's a little bit of an eighth note triplet right there, you know, triple it. 1, 2, 3 kind of notes there in the space of a quarter note, right? Now the strum's interesting too because we've got a little bit of muting in between. You got to use your karate chop to cut off the chord. 2 down strokes right on the beat. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, so we're coming in for an upstroke after the rest. 1, 2, 3, and rest, and then back in. Okay, so that's how that strum goes. One more time slow. And then just tacking that little melody on. What I've done at the end of the D chord is moved it down a string set so that I'm going to come down to the A chord. And just go back and forth. Cool. And yes, Steve, right, kind of like Helter Skelter a little bit. Totally hear that a bit. Just sort of a melody, descending melody down a scale. Okay. So cool stuff. And once again, I urge you guys, experiment with this. Try different chords. Try different spots on the neck. Okay. Really play with it. Good? All right. So that leads us to the final exercise. This is more of an exercise than an actual musical example. But really cool idea here is the first part of this exercise is just simply the G major scale. Okay, and if we were going to play through the scale, right? Arthur, excellent. Keep working on it, man. Just started doing it last week. Cool technique. So really essential for guitar players to kind of get into that stuff. So I encourage you to just keep going with it, develop it. All right. Exercise 8. The first part of this is just a G major scale in the third position, second position, kind of roughly. Okay, so if you don't know if you haven't seen that G major scale before, then cool, play it a few times and try to internalize it a little bit. But my point of this is that there's a way to think about playing notes in the scale when combining notes on the fretboard and trying to use as many open strings as you can. And this is really applicable to the acoustic guitar because we try to use open chords on the acoustic as much as we can because it tends to just sound richer that way, right? So if we can combine as many open string notes, if we're playing a single note kind of thing, if we can combine open strings into it, it can give it a really cool, different sound. Okay. So the second exercise is showing you how to play the G major scale using notes on the fretboard as well as open strings. And it has a totally different feel and sound. So let me see if I can do this. Okay. Sort of the idea of that a little bit. You are correct, Steve. You know what? Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. They are reversed. Yes, I messed that up. The open G scale, on the open G scale, yes. Well, on the 8B, the second one is wrong. It's 5 and 3. Okay, it's not 3 and 5. You're not going to get the right sound there. I apologize about that. You know what? I almost thought I had done a handout with no mistakes. We got right to the very last bar. And of course, there's a mistake. So I apologize, everybody. I'm going to have to fix that and put a new link up after this for the people that are tuning in later. So hopefully I will have replaced this. So I apologize, everybody. Okay. So once again, yeah, right? And so the idea is if you're, to sort of expand upon this and show you sort of how to use this idea, it's like, think of any melody. It could be like a simple one, right? Right? Like that. And what if I went on the acoustic especially and used open strings and kind of let them all ring out together? It's a totally different sound than, right? And so part of what makes the acoustic guitars, masters of the acoustic guitar so good at that kind of stuff is that they do that. They incorporate those open strings and let them ring out, these melodies sort of ring and blend together, which is a different sound than just playing a melody, kind of on one string without stuff ringing out all together. Okay. So highly recommend you guys check this out. Just the tip of the iceberg, of course, but just getting that idea out there. Okay. So cool. Let's see. Daryl, this was an excellent little riff walk, adding the hammer and pull off. One of the things that keeps me coming back. Daryl, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. That's awesome. Doug, I think I'll take one of each of your techniques per day from week to week as part of my practicing. Good plan, man. I appreciate that, and good luck with it, and stick with it and all that stuff. Have fun with it. Experiment with it. That's what it's all about. All right. So, really what I should have done is, that top major scale on the 8A part of this last exercise, I should have probably shown the 3-note per string pattern, because we're using kind of that sort of those notes out of that. I guess I kind of simplified it, showing just, okay, here's G major. What can we do different? There we go. Okay, so clearly I need to work on it. And so, yeah, I got some stuff to do this week for sure. All right. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Everybody, thanks so much for joining. Super appreciate it. As always, really great questions tonight. Okay. And so thank you for that. So happy to try and help as much as I can. So when we get questions like that, it is excellent. So I appreciate it. Mario, back at you. Have a great weekend. Steve in NH. All right. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you always get something out of it. That's the whole point, right? Glenn B, thank you. Awesome. It's for you. Thank you. Great to see you again. Gerald, thank you. Doug, thank you. And thanks for the great questions. King 50. Thank you. Alonzo, thanks so much. Zane, we'll see you next week. Yeah, everybody next week will be, I think it's an electric workout next week. So more stuff like this, right? Just fun stuff, hopefully. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Jim Gregory, thank you. Theodore, thank you. Jason, thank you. Dennis, thanks so much. Chris, glad to be the highlight of the week. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Andy, thank you. Steve, I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Cool. Good stuff. All right. Excellent. All right, everybody, a couple minutes early, but that's a lot of stuff tonight. So we'll be back next week. Maybe we'll make it up next week. We'll go a little bit longer, right? So bring your questions. As always, I super appreciate you tuning in. Have a great weekend. Have a great week next week. And we'll be back on the electric next week. All right. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. See ya.